Good morning, everyone. Morning. Thank you all for joining us today for the exciting grand opening of the University of Guelph Hub. My name is Alessia Carbone, and I am a youth ambassador with the Grove, and I will be your MC for today. The Grove Hubs are a one-stop shop for youth mental health and wellness. The Hubs are a safe space for youth ages 12 to 26 to drop in to connect and are empowered to take the lead in their own mental health and wellness journey by accessing free local support and mental health services. I am excited to join you in celebrating the grand opening of the Grove University of Guelph. I would like to take this time to acknowledge our traditional territories. Today is an especially important day as it is National Indigenous Peoples Day. Dedicated to recognizing, honoring, and celebrating the unique heritage, diverse cultures, and outstanding contributions of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples, as well as educate on the deep culture and history of Indigenous peoples. We are also honored to be able to take this time to reflect and celebrate. We are on the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee communities. It is recognized that these people have unique, long-standing, and ongoing relationships with the land and each other, and that the Ottawandron people are part of the archaeological record. The University of Guelph campus is located within the Between the Lakes Purchase, Treaty 3. The treaty lands the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. Thank you. I would now like to welcome Helen Fishburn, CEO of the Canadian Mental Health Association, Waterloo, Wellington, to say a few words.
Adjust the mic. Hi, everybody. It's great that I can actually see you over this podium. Last week at our all-staff meeting at CMHA, you could see the top of my head. So I actually had to get a table, and I'm going to start a new business called Podium for Petites. Anybody wants to pass the hat around, get the business going? It's really underrated. Anyway, it's great to be here, and thank you so much, Alyssa. I love that we have Alyssa, our MC today. She, of course, can totally rock it, but it's so symbolic as to why we're here and what this means for us today. I'm actually, unfortunately, here to share the tough news of today, and it's really the why. And we've been really working hard to get to this moment, so I know this is a good news day, and I don't want to take away from the good news, but at the same time, we also do need to understand the why of why we're here. Obviously, it's been extremely difficult and exhausting 2.5 years. The impacts of the global pandemic across the world and certainly locally have been just unbelievable. There's not a single person here that haven't been, profoundly impacted, discouraged, disrupted, fed up, frustrated, and just so distressed, at various times in the last 2.5 years. And although the pandemic has hit us all, it hasn't hit us all equally. We know that there are people that have suffered and struggled more than others, and certainly our vulnerable populations. People who have been impacted by systemic racism, people who have medical issues, people who are vulnerable because of mental health and addiction issues, and of course, I include in that category children and youth. Children and youth and their families have been really significantly impacted over the past 2.5 years. Let me just give you a few little stats. And again, just as a warning, this is the bad news part of the agenda, but we've seen such an increase in volumes and complexity over the course of the last 2.5 years. In our children's service at CMHA, which is the service that operates and offers support and treatment to children between the ages of 0 and 18, in the counseling and treatment stream, we've seen 146% increase, pre-COVID, post-COVID, 146%. In the child psychiatry, psychology, and some of our more intensive services, we've seen a 96% increase, pre and post-COVID. Family support, we've seen 34% increase. I could go on, and I won't, but you guys know, you've experienced it, you're feeling it, whether it's someone in your family, your next door neighbor, someone that you connect with in your role as a volunteer, as a staff member. All of us have seen and experienced it. Just give you a little sense of actually what that looks like as it relates to the population that the Grove will be supporting. So for kids between the age of 13 and 15, who tend to be more acting out, I will say, we've seen more aggressive behavior. We've seen a real spike in incidents of cyberbullying, physical fights at school, just such real hard feelings just coming out with each other. For kids between the ages of 16 and 24, our youth, more of an acting in, I would say. So those are kids really that have been waiting to launch. They're looking for their pathway to college, to a job, to university. And for a lot of those kids, they haven't had that pathway through COVID. So there is really literally a failure to launch. Kids who are supposed to go off to their next big adventure are in their parents' basement, struggling to try and figure out what to do, where to go, how to connect. They feel lost, they feel disconnected. It's overwhelming for them. And for many of those kids, we've seen them turn to self-harm and certainly higher uses of drugs and other illicit substances. Let's not forget our parents, too. Our parents have become professional jugglers through the pandemic, between managing their own jobs, many of them working from home, having their kids at home, not at home, at home, not at home, and then all of the other things that parents do. And of course, the most painful thing a parent can do is see their child suffer and struggle. And that is something that just comes so deeply into their hearts. So I don't want to make this the most depressing speech ever. So we're going to shift into the silver lining. And of course, you all know me well enough to know that I am an optimist. The silver lining is really that renewed empathy and compassion that we have felt for our community, our children, our youth, for each other. We have seen that in groves, and I say that literally, in groves, through the pandemic. And I will say our local community here in Guelph, I'm just so proud to be a part of. Guelph and Wellington County, where we see such incredible innovation, kindness, incredible partnerships. Our new building on Woolwich Street that's going up for children's mental health, where of course we'll celebrate the next opening of the Grove, is a great example of that. We wouldn't be able to have that building without in partnership with one of our private developers. But there are so many examples of that. And here's what we know about kids and youth. They need that support. They need layers and layers of it. They need it with their informal system, their parents, their friends, next door neighbors, hockey coaches. They need it there informally. And they, of course, also need it in the formal system. Many service providers are here who support children and youth in our school boards, of course. And of course, we need it more and more to address the increased volumes and demands that are there. We have a lot more to do to support our kids and youth, lots of gaps to fill, and we're going to do that. But today we're going to really celebrate what the Grove offers. And the Grove is that opportunity for kids to come in with no questions asked, with no stigma waiting you at the door, and it creates that safety net. We know that kids are calling us at here 24/7. They're showing up at school and talking to their counselors. And then we know our kids that are just too afraid to do that. They're too afraid to make a call. They're too afraid to walk into that counselor, and they're suffering and they're struggling. The Grove represents that place that they can just walk into and just be supported, whether it's plugging their phone in, whether it's talking to a counselor, whether it's just scoping out what the services are. The Grove is there to support them, and it's an absolute wonderful safety net that we have built. And we'll celebrate that today, but I really do want people to be aware of the why, because that is why we're all here, but just also to take a deep breath and celebrate that we're making progress, and it really is all about our children and youth and their families. Thanks so much. Oops. I wanted to introduce Alison Burnett, and then I'll adjust the mic. Alison is the Director of Student Health Services here at the University of Guelph, and she is an absolute awesome partner to work with. We're extremely fortunate in our community. Sometimes universities and service providers in the community don't always get along. There's this weird tension. We don't have that. We have an incredible relationship and partnership, and in fact, the Grove is the perfect example of that. Alison, I'm very sorry, but welcome, and over to you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Helen, and good morning and welcome everyone to the University of Guelph. As Helen mentioned, my name's Alison Burnett. I'm the Director of Student Wellness here at the University of Guelph, and I'm delighted to be with you all today in the grand opening of the hub here on campus. I'd like to extend a special hello to Mike Schreiner, MPP, Mayor Cam Guthrie, and our city councillors who are in attendance today, Councillor Goller and O'Rourke. I think I've got everybody there. Thank you so much for being here today. We've looked forward to this grand opening because of what it represents for our community and for our campus. The Grove Hub, located on the U of G campus, is one of the first universities in Canada to hold a community youth mental health hub on its campus. And I think it speaks greatly to what Helen just mentioned in terms of our ability to collaborate and innovate in ways that are not seen in other communities or on other campuses. This hub will provide youth in our community with easier access to mental health and addiction services. And what it is truly unique is that it is also extended to the youth that are on campus here at the university. It's an extension of services that we provide and another opportunity for students to access services in ways that they might not otherwise have. This will be an important resource for a university and the broader community, and that one-stop access to connect individuals to services will be truly a testament to that ease of access and decreasing those barriers for our youth. As everyone is aware, and as Helen so astutely talked about, the last 2 years have been challenging in ways that we didn't think were possible. We've seen heightened levels of depression, anxiety in youth during the COVID pandemic, and that certainly extends to the students that we see at the University of Guelph. We have, in student wellness, seen an increased need for formal mental health supports and services, and I can anticipate that continuing to be the case as we move into this new academic year. The work and the efforts of the Grove in collaboration with student wellness, I think, will be a positive light for students and something that they can really feel a part of, and we see that through the connection of students in other ways with the Grove as well in terms of experiential learning opportunities. It represents the innovative new community-based approaches to mental health supports, and it speaks to the ongoing commitment the university has in working with our community partners to help build access and decrease silos in providing services to students and to our youth. Another example that Helen and I just chatted about this morning in terms of our opportunity to partner with CMHA is through our work with the Integrated Mobile Police and Crisis Team, extending its reach onto campus and providing crisis support and services to students in after hours. Known as Impact, this team provides life-saving supports and services for people experiencing mental health crisis and require an emergency response that is compassionate and really what the individual needs at that time. At the university, we continue to prioritize the mental health and well-being of our students, and these innovative programs and opportunities to collaborate are providing a safety net to our community where and when they need it. A special thank you to the Grove for your collaboration and working with the university to make this location possible. We look forward to the continued work together, and as I mentioned, is a true community and campus partnership. It is now my pleasure to introduce Erica Michaels from the U of G Hub to share some remarks from MP Longfield, who was unable to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Alison. Hi everyone, I am so excited to be here today to celebrate the grand opening of the University of Guelph Grove Hub. We are incredibly grateful to all of you in attendance today to celebrate this milestone with us, as well as to those who have worked to make this space a reality for our community. And we're thrilled about what this space will mean for our Guelph community, specifically our Guelph youth, and we look forward to sharing it with you today. As Alison said, MP Lloyd Longfield wishes he could be here to celebrate in person today. However, he has prepared a statement which I'm honored now to share with you. I'm sorry I cannot be with you today in person. However, my duties in Parliament have me in Ottawa right now. Our community is fortunate to have so many collaborative and passionate leaders in mental health and community services who have brought the dream of the Grove to a reality. We all face mental health challenges, but access to services should not be a factor in our path to wellness. Services, supports, and referrals all under one roof will be a game changer for the youth now being served by the teams at the Grove in Guelph and surrounding communities. A huge thank you to Cyndy, the U of G, and their teams that have brought the Grove Hub to the University of Guelph. Thank you, MP Longfield, for that. And I am honored now to introduce MPP Mike Schreiner to share his remarks.
Thank you, Erica, and thank you to all the staff and all the team members of the Grove for the amazing work you're doing in our community. We've heard about the why. I want to take a moment of my brief remarks to talk about the how. And I look at fellow Rotarians, and I know there was a vision about 5 years ago where Rotary said, how do we address youth mental health, and brought a speaker to talk about youth wellness hubs. And in that time, I've just been amazed at how this community has come together. And Cyndy, your leadership has played a vital role in that. But I think it says what can happen when service providers, all three levels of government, community members, the university, mental health service providers, CMHA, all come together and say, we are gonna fill a gap and we are gonna deliver the vital services that people in our community need. And the Grove hubs that are opening up here in Guelph and across Wellington County is a testament to what we can do as community members when we all come together, work together, and get the job done. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank each and every one of you who are here today and have played such an essential role in providing a space for young people to access the services and supports they need in our community and on this campus. Thank you. And it's my honor and pleasure to introduce your worship, Mayor Cam Guthrie.
Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, so much for inviting me here today. On behalf of council, I know there are a couple of councilors here. There they are. I was kind of looking for them. Thank you so much for attending. On behalf of the city and on behalf of council, I just want you to know it's been a pretty exciting time leading up to this moment. We're all talking about it, both staff and council, in regards to this center. And it's just such a need. If I could maybe impress on you one thing from the mayor, to be very mayoral for a second. One of the number one issues that our cities are facing is mental health crisis. The number one. So much so that it is something that we often talk about at City Hall, and the impacts that we're feeling and our citizens and our businesses and others are feeling. But as the chair of the Ontario Big City Mayors Caucus of Ontario, just last week, we passed a unanimous motion of 29 mayors that represents 70% of the population of Ontario, that we have called for an emergency meeting with the province on the mental health addictions issues that are happening in our community. They need to step up, and they need to step up urgently on this matter. And so when there's these gaps, as Mike just said, then who fills the void? Well, we did, amongst this vision of so many partners coming together to create the Grove, this space, and others. And as much as we're celebrating this moment today, so often we sometimes think, okay, then we're done, right? Like, it's open and we're done. No, we're not. So the other thing I want to leave you with is we are not done now just because we're, breaking the threshold and walking through the doors and it's open. They are going to need ongoing support. So where can all of us continue to think about how we can can help with that support as we move forward? How can we continue not only with the physical needs of material or finance to help these centers continue? How can we help with the awareness part that's our responsibility to continue to make sure people are aware that these resources are here and that we continue to support them? So I leave you with that challenge. It's my challenge too. It's not just me preaching at you. I have to also be aware to make sure that we continue to support even though the doors are opening today. And let's make sure that we really spread the news of this center and others as they come online. And thank you for the support today, and I look forward to continuing to support it as we move forward. So thank you very, very much. And with that, I'm not going to forget the next person that needs to be introduced. By the way, can we also have a round of applause for whoever thought of setting up tents today? Thank you very, very much. Well, it is I can't believe how honored I am to say this name, Cyndy Moffat Forsyth. And with literally almost at a loss of words of the leadership provided by her. When you have a vision and you really actively see something through to this moment, there's something about not just a material, like a brick and mortars building, but knowing that you're leaving a legacy in people's lives and changing them for the better. How blessed our community is to have Cyndy. And so please welcome her to the stage.
I'm a bit overwhelmed, and I've decided not to read my speech. What I'm going to do is tell you what you've done as a community. Every day, youth walk into the hubs that are open. So we're open in Fergus, we're open in Palmerston, and we're open in Erin, and now we're open here. We've got mental health services being delivered at the Y, and we're partnering with Shelldale Family Gateway, and we'll have mental health services in that facility in the fall. And of course, the CMHA building on Woolwich Street will open in early 2023. Every day youth walk through the doors. They might be there just to plug their phone in, like Helen mentioned, or they're there because they want some help. The way that we have built this system, and it isn't me, it's all of us. I'll give you one really great example of how we saved one life, and we're saving lives every week. And those are the ones we know about. We don't know about the kids that are just coming in to get that sense of belonging. A couple of weeks ago, I was told of a youth who walked in the door and saw our youth outreach worker. That youth had been seeing the outreach worker playing games of pool with her, talking to her, building a relationship with her, and he was fine on the Thursday. And Friday night, he went into crisis. So he had the wherewithal to pick up the phone and call Here 24/7. The operator at Here 24/7, which is the mental health hotline that people call in our community, knew about the Grove, talked to the youth, got the youth's permission to access the youth's file. The file was all about the relationship that the youth mental health worker had built, and so the operator was able to stabilize that youth because they knew about the youth's history. They were able to talk to the youth as a human being, not ask the youth, okay, start at the beginning and tell me again what's going on. Really being able to provide that holistic service. Stabilize the youth over the weekend, and then on Monday morning, the youth outreach worker comes into the office, sees a flag on the file, is able to reach out to the youth and say, hey, I hear you had not such a great Friday night and you're struggling a little bit. Why don't you come on in after school and let's continue the conversation? That is why you're here, and that is why we're all here together. it's no secret that one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this is because of my youngest daughter. She has suffered, continues to suffer, and struggle through life. She always will. That's just the way life is. She's in counseling and she's getting help. But as a mom who thought it was just a discipline problem when she was 11, what I wouldn't have done to have a facility like this, and that is why you're all here. It's why Rotary got behind this. It's why Marty and Paul said, we need Dr. Joanna Henderson to come and talk to our Rotary Club. And Dr. Joanna Henderson, who's in charge of Youth Wellness Hubs Ontario, said, I'm coming, and what do you need, and how can I help? It's all about embracing change, it's all about transforming the system, and it's all about youth. So all I can say is, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you all for having open minds and open hearts to help bring this reality to fruition. It would not have happened without all of you. So thank you. It is now my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce to you a young woman who has been instrumental in helping the Grove, Wellington, Guelph, achieve the success we have seen to date. I had the pleasure of working alongside Nida Ansari in 2021. Nida is a co-op student at the University of Guelph in psychology, and she really built our Youth Ambassador training program. She worked with community leaders and she worked with community youth to build a stellar program. And all of our youth ambassadors get trained through that program. We teach them about boundary setting. We teach them about how to be well themselves, how not to take on someone else's problems, and to be that warm, welcoming friend that youth need when they walk in the door. Nida, I am so proud and honored to work alongside of you, and so proud, enormously proud of the contributions you have made to the Grove. And I'm pleased to have Nida share her experience with you today. Thank you.
By the way, Helen, I back the podium for petites. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nida Ansari, and I am an incoming fourth-year student at the University of Guelph in the Honors Psychology Co-op program with a minor in French Studies. To start, I'd actually like to do my own reflection of the land that we're on today. Though I study and work at the University of Guelph, I primarily live in the city of Mississauga, which is home to the Mississaugas of the Credit Nation. And though I was born in Canada, I do see myself as a child of South Asian immigrants, and as a woman of color, this part of my identity is a big contributor as to how I understand and navigate the academic and professional world, the mental health system, and just the world at large. I'm aware that I'm extremely privileged in the ways I learn and live, and I'm always learning and unlearning when it comes to sharing this land with those who have been here long before me and who continue to be here today. Especially with today being National Indigenous Peoples Day, I'd just like to remind everyone not only to learn about, but also celebrate the cultures and contributions of the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people of Canada. I know the Grove is committed to this action, and I hope that we all can continue to do that in the ways that we can. I am extremely honored to be here today and share this moment with you all. It's been a long time coming. And to say that I'm excited about this site opening is probably an understatement. Like Cyndy mentioned, my relationship with the Grove goes all the way back to January of last year. I started my co-op career as the peer support coordinator for the Grove and was hired to spearhead the development of the Youth Ambassador training program. So like Cyndy mentioned as well, this program trains and employs youth to become leaders among their peers and support each other while in the hubs. This program was made in consultation and collaboration with youth, community members, mental health professionals in the Wellington and Guelph area. Once this program was created, the Grove was able to hire youth ambassadors in the summer to begin implementing this initiative in each active hub. And because of the success of this program, I was hired again in the fall to work alongside the Office of Open Learning and Educational Support at the University of Guelph to create an interactive online version of the training which ambassadors continue to use to this day. Both experiences I had with the Grove were so rewarding, to say the least. They have allowed me to network, develop my professional and interpersonal skills, and have even given me the opportunity to share best practices of developing training programs at a national youth mental health conference, so that's pretty cool. More generally, as a young person of color, it's not always been easy finding my place and voice in the world, but the Grove gave me that safe space to develop that voice and speak for myself and on behalf of youth in the community, and I think that's just a great part of the Grove's youth-centered model. Youth agency and autonomy to share what they need and want is so crucial to be able to provide the right supports for us, and the Grove is doing exactly that, especially with our youth ambassadors. I like to think that the youth ambassadors are the heart of the Grove. They're the friendly faces people see when they walk into the hubs. They create a safe space for youth using the Grove services and provide assistance in navigating the hub's various resources and staff. Youth ambassadors are effective communicators and serve as leaders in the hubs as they facilitate conversations with youth in a meaningful way. They're also trained in boundary setting and risk identifying skills to be able to know when to guide youth to the proper professional service provider. And like me, they're often co-op students, placement students, interns, or just youth that are really passionate about mental health and supporting their peers. It was an honor to work alongside the ambassadors for the short time I did and get to see them grow, not only as professionals, but more importantly as kind, compassionate individuals. I can already tell that the youth at the University of Guelph site will have just as great of an impact on anyone who walks in, and I'm just really thankful that I got to be even a small part of that legacy in that way. Needless to reiterate, it has been a rough 2 years, and we need community now more than ever. And what's so great about a hub like this to be at the university is now there's another space for youth and students alike to call their own. The whole idea of the Grove is very simple. Youth can walk in for, That's what we do at the Grove, we get back up. As I was saying, the whole idea of the Grove is very simple. Youth can walk in for any reason. They can come in just to read, to find a spot to study, play foosball, or even just grab a snack. And I know I do that. And while they're here, they have the opportunity to connect with these awesome ambassadors and youth wellness professionals, providing access to all the services that they may need. Services around mental health, substance use, career planning, job seeking, housing, the list goes on. We're good.
I'll come to your Bible.
Thank you. I appreciate the support. Everything is in one spot. You don't have to go looking for it. So in this way, the Grove has not only offered tremendous co-op students an opportunity like me, but also has been a crucial voice in the Guelph and Wellington community when it comes to providing a space for youth to grow and lead in their own mental health and wellness needs. And youth aren't the only ones that benefit from this. I'd say the Grove benefits just as much by having these passionate youth involved and engaged across the many hub locations. And to see not only the youth develop and shine, but also see the community develop and shine too, I think that's just a really great thing to witness. So overall, I'm extremely lucky to have crossed paths with an organization that prioritizes youth input and employment, mental health, and innovation within the community, and I'm so happy that we are celebrating its expansion in partnership with the university today. The Grove may be a fairly new organization in the grand scheme of things, but I know that their long-term impacts in the Wellington and Guelph community will only continue to grow from here. The opportunity I was given as a Guelph student has been so meaningful to me both personally and professionally, and I can only imagine the positive impacts the Grove's University of Guelph site will have for the years to come. So as I conclude today, I'd like to thank you all for your time and presence at this ceremony, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and get to take a peek at the site. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nida. As a youth ambassador and someone who's worked alongside and learned from Nida, I just want to say that her training program and everything that she's done with the Grove is so incredible, and I think we should give her another round of applause as she deserves it. well, just as a youth who knows the need and like sees it every day, I'm just so grateful and thank you to everyone who has attended this morning and sharing in the celebration of the amazing grand opening of the University of Guelph Hub, the Grove. We would now like to invite you all to our official ribbon cutting and some light refreshments and drinks following, provided by the University of Guelph, and then welcome you to a tour of our amazing hub. If all the dignitaries would like to follow me now, we're going to just proceed to the entrance of the Grove and do the ribbon cutting. Thank you so much for coming, everyone.